It's great to see such a great turnout. And Jay, thanks for another great conference here at VRIC. So I want a bigger room next year. I want people to be able to sit down, come on. Okay, I'm going to talk about the small stocks that I think are about to become big. And I mean this year in the near future. And then I've got a big announcement to make. Okay, so why do I think some stocks are going to become big here in the near future? Why do I think that? Well, there are three reasons. One is gold stocks are near cycle lows. I'm going to show you a chart I've never showed before. Brand new research, why I think gold stocks are near cycle lows and what that means. Number two, I'm going to show you how historically oversold gold stocks as a group are. It's amazing how oversold they are, and it really highlights what their potential is. And then I think there are certain companies that I'm going to name here that I think have critical catalysts that are going to propel them higher. They have major developments that are underway here in 2023 that could propel them higher. Okay, the first reason is because gold stocks cycle. And we've never showed this research before, but this is basically gold stocks as a group going all the way back to the 1970s. And look at all the cycles. Look at the first one there, starting on the left. Gold stocks went up 513% over 1,500 days and gave back, look at that, 72%. Next up cycle, over 200%, gave back 60%. You can go on down the list as a group. When you track gold stocks, this is using different indexes, ETFs, all kinds of things. You can see there are 8 distinct cycles, up cycles in gold stocks, and 8 distinct down cycles. If you look at the far right, that little blip up on the far right was the COVID bounce, okay? That was after the sell-off, then we had the COVID bounce, and then that little blip down was the sell-off after COVID up to the end of 2022. So my question to you all is, what happens after a down cycle? It doesn't tell us when it's going to happen, how big it's going to be, how long it might last, etc. But it does tell us gold stocks cycle. The next cycle is up. Here's a more recent example. This is the GDXJ. This is from Jordan at the Daily Gold. Thank you, Jordan. And this is basically the bull runs in GDXJ since its inception in 2005. You can see all the runs there, how long they were, how big they were. The black line is the current one. And this is about 2 weeks old, this chart. So if GDXJ, you see we've had a little bit of a run here. If GDXJ were to stop now, it would be the shortest and lowest performing run of GDXJ since its inception. Okay, the second reason I think is small gold stocks are about to become big is because they're historically oversold as a group. We know they're undervalued because the gold price at 1900, a lot of these stocks should be priced higher, but they're way oversold. So what I'm going to show you in these charts is the 2011 high for all these indexes and ETFs and all that, and then I'm going to show you the current price, okay? So in 2011, there you see on the left, GDX was $64. At the end of 2022, that's the last time I updated this chart, you can see it was 28. And look at the inset there on the right, you see GDX would have to rise 126% to match its 2011 high. Just 2011, this has nothing to do with 1980 when they really soared. There's the HUI, the NYSE Gold Bugs Index. There's on the left, 2011, 628. The end of 2022, $229. The HUI would have to rise 173% just to match its 2011 high. Here's the Global X Silver Miners, SIL, for those that love silver. There in 2011, $92. At the end of last year, $28. It would have to rise 229% just to match its 2011 high. See how oversold these are? GDXJ, the Junior Miners ETF. There it was in 2011. There it is in 2022 at the end. GDXJ would have to rise 382% just to match its 2011 high. That's how undervalued it is. And here's the XAU. I don't really follow this, but a lot of actual funds do. Mainstream, money managers, they follow this. There's its 2011 high, and there's what it was at the end of 2022. The XAU gold mining index would have to rise almost 400% just to match its 2011 high. And again, this excludes all the 1980 data, when they were much higher. And here's the Barron's. This is the longest gold mining index that we have. This is its ratio to the gold price. Look where it was in 1980. There's where the ratio was in 1980. Look where the all-time low was, right before 2020. And there's where it is now. You know, I keep updating this chart every conference I go to, and the darn thing doesn't change. Gold stocks, relative to the gold price, are still dramatically undervalued. In fact, if gold stocks were to match the run they had in 1980, they would have to outperform the gold price by a factor of 16. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do that. I'm pointing out the potential that is there. This chart, the line in this chart is more likely to go up in the near future than it is to go down. Here's another one, GDXJ. Since its inception, I got this from Gwen Preston, thank you, Gwen, and its ratio to the gold price. And you can see how high it was back then, where it is now, and she's drawing the sort of the double bottom there. You can see, again, GDXJ's ratio to the gold price. GDXJ, relative to gold, is dramatically undervalued. This chart's only a week old. Number 3, companies that must have critical catalysts in place. So for me, my criteria is obviously number 1, you have to meet those 3 Ps. People, politics, and property. You've probably heard all those before. Those 3 things have to be met for me before I even look at seriously consider a stock. They have to be actively working their projects. They have to have cash. They have to have not just experienced management, but management that has successfully navigated a downturn or a bear market before. That's what I want. All the ones I'm going to give you have that. They have to have a real asset or a clear path to getting to one. Now that can be subjective, but in my opinion, these have a clear path to getting to one if they don't already have an asset. And they have to have big potential. Not a 1,000-meter drill program sometime in the summer. That's not a big potential. That's not a potential big catalyst. So they have to have big progress, on tap, on schedule. As always, you have to buy a basket of these. And if you want more information, if you don't know, I'm at thegoldadvisor.com now. So it's all free to investors. It is a sponsorship model. You can read about that there. But I provide all the information, tons of free information to investors there. You can read all about it there. Okay, so here you go. Here's my gold candidates. And again, I don't have time to go into all the details, but you can get more at the Gold Advisor. American Pacific Mining is going to have $40 million spent by partners this year on 2 of their projects. How many juniors do you know that have a $40 million budget? Actually, it's higher than that because they have 2 other projects they own themselves, and they are going to announce their budget for those sometime soon. Big catalyst on tap for American Pacific. Aztec Minerals, discovery in hand, 2 assets, majors cozying up to it, and now what they're seeing is that 2 zones that they've drilled look like they might connect up. If they do, this is going to go from a small asset to a medium-sized asset. We'll probably know that this year. Cabral Gold, the thrill in Brazil, I call it. They've been hitting higher grades than the 3rd largest gold mine in Brazil, and coincidentally, that gold mine is right next door to them. Highly prospective. They'll be actively pursuing that this year. Independence Gold, hitting high grade. There are 2 majors nearby. What's really interesting about Independence is it has a small resource to start, but funds and some high net worth investors have just started moving into this stock. So they clearly see a lot of potential here. The thing's tripled since November, still dramatically undervalued though. Stellmine Gold, liked what they saw in Quebec. They started buying up land all around their assets based on their early geological results. They just announced the very first drill program at one of their assets. It came back good, but it wasn't all sexy. And so the market didn't really respond well. And yet it had technical success. That's the key difference. It wasn't all, splashy. The results weren't all splashy, but it had technical success. It's a technical discovery. Don't overlook Stell Mine Gold. I have 5 more picks. I'm going to give those in my workshop this afternoon. 140 right over here at Workshop 2, top gold stocks. Here's my favorite silver ones. Again, more details of the Gold Advisor. Arizona Silver Exploration, getting close to finding a gold system. They just announced some results. They were okay, but we were expecting high grade. Turns out that particular target's more of a bulk tonnage target. But what it told them was there could be a big system underneath that, and that's what they're going to be exploring this summer. BlackRock Silver, you probably know that name. 3 discoveries, 2 are silver. They just optioned out their lithium play. All 3 projects are going to see major attention this year. Suma Silver, one of my personal largest silver speculations. I really like Galen McNamara, the CEO there. He's won awards. He's running the company, 2 historic silver districts with little modern work. They just did a big raise. They have a ton of cash to go do a bunch of drilling this year. Reina Silver, Mr. Mexico, Peter McGaw is working on 3 projects there. They have some interesting results. All 3 projects are going to get attention this year. Silver Hammer, I've named this before, 3 brownfields projects. I really like it, early stage. We're waiting on a new CEO there, but the interim CEO is being very aggressive. He's pushing this company forward. He even said they may be looking at some more M&A. It's already got 3 projects. They may be doing more. And Dolly Varden, brand new pick I just announced last week. I really like this. It's a more mature company, big resource. I really like it, though. You can ask the CEO. He actually said that he's seen mergers occur with less due diligence than what I put him through. So I really do put these companies through a due diligence process before I put them on the website. You can see that. But read on the website why I think this stock specifically could be a 5-bagger stock. One more. This list is the primary silver producers in the industry. Now, I left off the real small guys. This is from BMO, so they don't include Silvercrest and MAG because they haven't reached full commercial production yet. Look at the 2022 column. That's the silver equivalent production they're expected to all report. This is an estimate. All the final numbers aren't in for 2022. The next column, 2023. There's the silver equivalent production they're expected to produce this year. The third column is, the green is the percentage production growth they're expected to see this year. Red is the expected decline in their production growth. Who has the biggest production growth coming this year? It's First Majestic Silver. They have more growth on tap than other producers, and this is really remarkable because this is already a big company. For a big company this size to have that kind of production growth is really remarkable. They're going to go from the 4th largest silver producer in the world to the 3rd and maybe even the 2nd largest by the end of this year. With that kind of production growth, you want to own First Majestic Silver for 2023. Okay, time for the announcement. I got time? So some of you may know my background. My dad was a gold prospector, worked for a lot of mining stock newsletters starting with Doug Casey and then Lobo Tigre was actually my mentor. You may know him. He's here. So I was doing a lot of writing, and in 2019 I decided, you know what, I'm not ready for a mining stock newsletter, so I'm just going to start telling people my picks. I'm just going to start to share them. And if anybody's interested, they could have them. So I started doing that on Twitter, at conferences and interviews, saying, here's what I like, here's what I'm buying, here's why. And so the one question came up like almost immediately. It's like, Jeff, how do you pick your stocks? Why do you think this one is going to be better than that one? What made you pick this one? How does anyone pick a mining stock? It's so much different than other industries than evaluating if you should buy Amazon or Apple, right? So the idea of writing a book came up. But I told people, look, I'm just too busy. And I genuinely was. I just don't have the time. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. I don't have the time. And then Dan Rubach came along, and if you don't know Dan, if you've ever seen a Mike Maloney video, Dan is his producer. So Dan produces all of Mike's videos. He's great. He's become a good friend, and he suggested the perfect title. Like, that's the perfect title for a book, but I don't have time. And then COVID hit. And what did we all do during COVID? Nothing. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything. So I had no more excuses. So I went in the office, turned on the nightlight, and I began to outline a brand new book. Ladies and gentlemen, you're the first to hear a brand new book on how to pick mining stocks. It's called Pay Dirt, Mining for Profits with Gold and Silver Stocks. Isn't that the perfect title? Yeah. And yes, ladies, I'll have you know that the arm muscles in that guy down there, those are representative of just how big my arm muscles are. This book, I said I was going to do it right if I was going to do it. And this book will tell you exactly how to pick mining stocks from the very method that I and many others, not just me, have used to identify potential winning mining stocks. There's no guarantee, of course, but it'll put the odds greatly in your favor. I promise you that it will do that. It's worked for me. It's worked for many other people. That's the table of contents. I won't go through all that. But on the right there, you see how to pick mining stocks, the most powerful formula to identify winning mining stocks. I use it myself. To this day, I'm walking around here. I use this exact method that's in the book to evaluate who I might like. Identifying producers that will beat the index, developers and my favorite investment strategy, explorers, the biggest and riskiest pay dirt. You remember the board game, those of you who are older may remember it. Remember the board game Battleship? That game will help you identify potential explorers. You have to read why. Alex Daly, I convinced Alex Daly, the president of Gold Silver, to hire me an editor. And he did. And the editor's like, you know what you got to do, Jeff, is you got a lot of information here, but you got to interview some people in the industry and include them in the book. I'm like, another great idea. So I did that. I spent all last summer interviewing all these people, and I'm happy to tell you that every single person in this list is in the book. The late Brad Cook at Aztec Minerals, Eric Fire, Silvercrest Minerals, John Hathaway at Sprott, Quentin Henning, Crescat, Frank Holmes, U.S. Global, Matthew Horner, Maple Gold, Steve Letwin, Cassier, Mike Maloney, Gold Silver, Peter McGaw, Reyna and others, Keith Newmeyer, First Majestic and First Mining, Mark O'Day, Oxygen Capital, Ron Parrott, Relevant Gold, David Reese, Cassier, Ronnie Stoufferlem, Increment Medigi, and Gold We Trust report, he's in the book. Nolan Watson, Sandstorm Royalties is in the book. And of course, you can't write a book on mining stocks without including Rick Rule, right? There are literally, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of quotes from these gentlemen on their experiences, their insights, their stories, their personal wins. I asked them, give me a couple examples of big wins you've had. And they did. They're all in the book, every single one of them. So all this is sprinkled throughout the book as we go along, as you read along. And frankly, I've never seen this collection of wisdom in one place before. It's fantastic. I'm really proud of it. You can pre-order it right now. We just opened it. You can pre-order it now. The download, it's an online book only. I did that for a few reasons. I can have active links in it. If you want to look up the Fraser Mining Survey, boom, you can click on it right there. That also kept the cost down. I don't have to charge tax on you. So it's $25. You can pre-order now there at that site. You can see a sample chapter on the website right now. It's the most terrifying mine I've ever entered, and I will warn you, if you're a claustrophobic, you have been warned. And right from there, it goes to an emergency phone call from the hospital about the most important person in the world, your mother. And what does that have to do with gold and silver? Everything. Okay, my time's up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it useful. You can go right to the website. The tab is there. But most of all, I hope you find pay dirt in your portfolio. Thanks, everybody.